Welcome to another episode of Cabal Whisperings, the Geek Cabal podcast. This is episode 29. I'm Bobbie,
And I'm Owen.
and it's just going to be the two of us here today. Chad had some unfortunate business come up. I don't worry, nothing serious. And Jim is still in the remodel, so you're going to have to deal with just the two of us here today. So, we talked a little bit last time at the very end, so you probably didn't hear it, about trying to restructure the show just a little bit. So, we're going to do that, or at least attempt to do that here, which will hopefully, since there's just the two of us, will lead to a shorter show this time. Because last time was 3 hours, and we don't have 3 hours tonight. So, very briefly, in channel news, because that's about the only thing that's going to be held over from the other way we were doing things. Because I kind of felt like we were trying to force things into those categories. Because there'd be episodes like, okay, we got 10 movies, 20 things in streaming, no books, no games. And then other days it'd be like, oh, well, we all seem to have read a book this week. That hasn't actually happened yet. That's a, hypothetical example. Um, or like, oh, we've all got some gaming news or something, but we've watched like one movie between us, you know. So it was just kind of an unnatural fit sometimes. So instead, we're going to go with topics that we've chosen beforehand that are still going to kind of fit those broad categories for the most part, or just other things we want to talk about. So, and by this point, our other podcast that Chad and I have started is also up. And we only have one episode of that so far. And like I said in that one's not replacing this one. They are going to be different things. So that one's focused more on like tabletop gaming and certain collectible type stuff. So in channel news, the first episode of that's out. We'd really love to check that out. That's only like an hour and a half, and we're going to aim for being a little bit shorter on those. Then got an awful lot of traction on a video where I talked about, did Lego see the disaster that was the Acolyte coming, and that's why there's no Star Wars Lego sets for the Acolyte? Or any number of other reasons, as was brought up in the comments in my video, but definitely check that out if you haven't. I've got another 90s sci-fi movie thing up for Darkman, and I got a couple BattleTech book reviews up for some older source books. The Wars of Reaving and Operation Klondike. And that's a lot of what's been up lately. So far, one of the tests I've been doing to see if some advice I saw online is viable seems to be working. All the videos seem to be having more views, so I think it is actually working, or it could just be we've somehow upped our game. I'd love to believe it's that last one, but I really think it's the former. So, anyway, it has to do with the tags. I'm not going to go in and explain it. If you're a creator on here also, you know what I'm talking about as far as the tags. But anyway, that's most of the channel news. I do have some other videos already recorded. Another 90s sci-fi movie video. Let's see, both the BattleTech videos are up. No, the other one will be up tomorrow. Well, tomorrow from when we're recording this on Sunday. And, yeah. I've already got a video up talking about Agatha episodes 1 and 2. I'm going to do a video on The Penguin, which was on HBO. Spoiler alert, that was actually really good. I'm really looking forward to where that goes. And I still don't believe that's Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. Doesn't look a thing like him. But anyway, we'll talk about that in their separate videos. So, our general scheme here is, like I said, we just chose some topics instead of just like our broad sheet of here's what all's been happening. And yeah, so what I wanted to focus on was the fact that Disney is being sued over using Peter Cushing's likeness for Tarkin in Rogue One, the movie that came out 8 years ago. And apparently, there's a gentleman in England who Peter Cushing knew, who runs a studio, and he's known over there, so he's not just some Joe Blow. And he apparently has a contract, supposedly, that Peter Cushing signed, giving him the rights to Peter Cushing's likeness. Now, I've seen this story pop up a few different places on YouTube, and very quickly confirm my theory that no one watches these videos and just rushes to the comments section because all of them are like, oh, look at that. Disney didn't ask for permission. No, if you'd watched the videos, you know that yes, they did. They went to Peter Cushing's estate and got permission from Peter Cushing's estate. But now that Peter Cushing's estate, I believe, is entirely dead, this other guy just kind of comes out of the woodwork. I'm a lot more inclined to believe that this guy is a complete fraud. But that's my personal opinion. I have no knowledge of the British legal system other than I'm really glad I'm not under it from all the horror stories I keep reading. And yeah, so I'm absolutely not a lawyer. Don't take anything I say as legal advice or specialty or anything of that nature. But yeah, so going forward, this is going to lead to an interesting situation because Disney, part of their claim is going to be that they have the rights to the likeness of the character Tarkin, which they do, because that's how they keep making action figures for him. So, does that entitle them to reuse him for the movies? I don't know. A court's got to sort that out. I'm inclined to think that a court is going to say no, because obviously neither side would have contemplated that in 1977 when they made the movie. However, who knows? But this also kind of ties into some other things that have happened recently, like James Earl Jones unfortunately passed away in the last couple of weeks. And for those who don't know, he did sign over his voice to be used for Darth Vader from now until the end of time by Disney. Uh, which, in my opinion, was probably a good move. He's got a really iconic sounding voice, and the character will live on long after him, assuming Disney doesn't crash and burn between now and the heat death of the universe. So, uh, Owen, before I continue with my spiel here, do you have any thoughts on this whole deal?
No, I don't. Well, I suppose this. Where is it going to stop? Is it just with Peter Cushing and James Earl Jones? Are they going to try to do it with Carrie Fisher?
Well, the more in-depth videos I've seen have pointed out that Carl Weathers died recently, and as far as we know, Grief Karga is going to need to be in the Mandalorian movie. So what are they going to do there? Ray Stevenson died. What are they going to do with Balin Skull in Ahsoka season 2? Because clearly he was doing something. And so, like you mentioned Carrie Fisher, we've already seen digital Carrie Fisher. It's just that she gave permission while she was still alive to do some things. But like Mark Hamill, we've seen a de-aged version of him in The Mandalorian. And we've also got other people say just cast Sebastian Stan because he looks just like him. Uh, but yeah, that's the real crux of the matter is: are we going to need laws specifically spelling out that like you have to give someone has to be around to give permission for your digital likeness? They can't just be like, oh well, I mean they're dead, they don't own their likeness. Well, the problem is people do own their likenesses. Like you have to actually sign that over, like for action figures and things like that. So, we're entering into this era of the deep fake here, and what's going to happen. Like I know California recently passed a law about this, but that law is going to be struck down because, in all likelihood, because that law is specifically targeting memes and parodies, which are protected under the Constitution, from my understanding.
What should it's protected under the First Amendment?
Right. It's the entire reason The Incredibles wasn't just sued into oblivion by Marvel for their very obvious Fantastic Four knockoff. So, because they can always hide behind, well, it's a parody, it's a comedy, it's a comedic attempt to parody the concept. So that's why they can't be. That's why I think Marvel did actually try to sue them because it should have. Because that's the way these things get solved. It's not a matter of like oh, we're evil, so we're going to sue people. Like, no, it's a, where the law is unclear, you got to take it to the courts. That's the way it works. But yeah, well, like the whole time I was hearing about this, they're talking about stars and everything, but like, what about me and you? Like, there's video of us out there. Like, I don't know who on earth would be like, I'm going to copy that guy, but someone could. Are we protected from that?
Well,
And even if they do pass a law, like targeting like movie stars, what about everybody else? Politicians, like they're ripe for it, because your opponent's going to be like, haha, I'll have this guy literally eating a baby. Like, and people be like, well, look at the video. And, like, there's got to be some protections against this kind of stuff, I would think. But I
well,
don't. But I don't know where you draw the line because again, the whole parody thing.
well. I mean, if someone wants to use my likeness in a meme or a parody, honestly, I could give less than two. Uh,
I know how you intend on finishing that sentence. I got you. Don't worry.
but yeah, I mean, if someone like wants to use my likeness in a movie, now I'm gonna be raising some fingers about that.
Yeah, and that kind of also ties into like some of the AI generated stuff because like for an AI generated crowd, like those faces came from somewhere. Even if they are totally fake, they're still a combination of real faces, which, as I understand it, is the main complaint I keep hearing about AI art, is that while a lot of it isn't clearly this other piece, although sometimes apparently you can even still see the signatures in them. Uh, but like you can tell that like it started life as this piece and had these other things cobbled in and reblended, you know. So yeah, I mean, I think we're in for a world of trouble, between this and the deep fake stuff.
No, I'm sure laws are gonna get passed about what's fair use.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it will eventually. I think it'll happen a lot sooner once a few politicians are targeted by it. Then I think it'll happen very quickly because they're real good at like, hey, this thing affects us, let's fix it. Versus, you know, 90% of the American people agree with X, and then they're like, let's do everything but X because that 10% we've got to appeal to them. Or like, well, let's put a commission on it or something or study it. Like, I hate to just in case you think our political system actually functions. I hate to like disabuse you of that notion, but it's quite
Have you
dysfunctional.
heard of the concept of a filibuster?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's going to require some legalese, some law of some kind, and I think it's going to need to be at like the federal level because some states do have laws against it or related to this kind of topic, but it needs to be more broad and there needs to be like a standard of some kind, and then states can adjust accordingly if they need to. But yeah, I I don't know. I don't know where, like I said, I don't know where you draw the line. I guess you'd have to do it so that it's like now, where if it is a parody, you're gonna have to go to court to argue that it's a parody. And try to successfully do so. Good luck. Our legal system is about as hopeless as our political system. Uh, I'm not bitter or anything. So,
Makes it sound like you're bitter for something.
nothing personal. It's just I always hear these horror stories of things that happen to people, and I'm just like, like this is not what I was sold growing up.
Are, are you sure you didn't do 15 years in the can?
No, I do not do fit. I'm not like Nerdrotic. I don't have an actual criminal record. Which, for those of you that don't know, and it's nothing against him personally, like I'm not like casting stones. Like he'll tell you straight up, like that's in his background. Because some people recently like tried to like use that against him, and he's like, "Have you watched my show? Like I don't hide the fact that I have a record." So yeah, and some people like next thing you know, they're going to uncover the fact he owned a comic book store, which he did. Uh, yeah, I don't watch the show very often, but he's occasionally funny and stuff like that. But yeah, no, Disney's in a weird situation, and it's like I answered in one of the comments that they really, and this is I'm about to start ranting about the sequel trilogy. Fair warning, they really screwed up. They had the right idea. Like they know they have to get new characters played by younger actors who aren't like in their 70s and 80s so they can keep using them. Like they had the right idea. They just like horrible execution, you know. But like Finn, Poe, Ray, like they're all younger actors, decent actors. Like they had the right idea. They knew what they had to do so they could eventually cycle out the older characters, and then you wouldn't be in this situation of like, man, how long can digital Mark Hamill keep playing Luke Skywalker here? I mean, he's dead in the sequel trilogy, but you know what I mean, like Force Ghost Luke Skywalker, I guess.
And then it brought them to, well, guess we're gonna have to start bringing back the actors from the prequels.
Yeah, I mean, they better get Tamura Morrison's likeness on like sign on the dotted line because he is all of the clones. So
If they don't get his likeness, then say goodbye to any more live action clones.
yeah. Or they're all going to have to be like, oh, this is after we started using more than just Django Fett as the template, conveniently. But yeah, because I mean, Ewan McGregor wants to do another Obi-Wan season. I mean, another decade or two, he's going to look about as old as Alec Guinness did in The New Hope.
Hey, that might work.
Yeah, it might. I mean, I like him as Obi-Wan. Both Ewan McGregor and Alec Guinness, to be clear on that.
Well, apparently Alec Guinness didn't like being Obi-Wan.
No, he didn't. But I saw a really funny thing about that. Uh, whenever he took the job, they promised him a percentage of the sales, and he's like, I've been on other movies, I've never seen a dime from anything like that because miraculously every movie I've been on has never made any money according to Hollywood because it's what they call Hollywood accounting, where all of a sudden all these expenses, like a movie that made $1 billion at the box office, somehow didn't actually make a profit. Like Hollywood's real good at that. That's why you don't want a percentage of the profits. You want a percentage of the box office because that they can't hide. So Robert Downey Jr., very smart guy, got a percentage of the box office for a lot of the Marvel movies he's in. That's why he's filthy rich now. And so George's people got a hold of Alec Guinness and like, hey, Alec, like we really impressed. Like we want to up the percentage of what we were talking about, and it's like 1 or 2%. And he's like, oh yeah, sure, because he's like, I'm not going to see anything from this. He's like, so whatever, make whatever phony number you're throwing at me. Yeah, great. I'm glad you're humoring me, but like, I know I'm not going to see anything from this. And but like by the end of the conversation, it had worked its way all the way down to like a 0.5%. It's like the opposite of like a fishing story where the fish keeps getting bigger. Like the percentage kept getting smaller. But if I recall correctly, he did actually see the money from that, from what I understand, and like it was quite a bit of money, because Star Wars made a lot of money. A New Hope, you know. Uh, but yeah, so uh, yeah, that's gonna be it's gonna be a problem, Like actors are gonna have to, you know, or you have other situations like, what if you fired an actor, but all of a sudden you're like, man, we really need to bring back their character, like Cara Dune, like who's still alive, like right over there, just like anyway. So yeah, I think that's going to be a big problem going forward, and I don't know there's a solution to it. Now I'm kind of wondering if they have the rights to Christopher Lee's likeness. Can we actually see Dooku like actually get some damn screen time and not just the last half hour of one movie and the first 10 minutes of the next one?
Well, he does have screen time in the Clone Wars TV show.
Well, yeah, that's cartoon him with a different voice actor, I think.
Well, yeah, he was.
Yeah. Now there used to be this magazine called Toy Fair, and it was published by the same company that published Wizard magazine, the comic book magazine. And each of them had a comic inside called Twisted. I think it's Mego, I think is how you pronounce it. Theater. They use Mego dolls. They're like 8-inch dolls with real clothing, but they were for like Star Trek and a bunch of other things back in the 70s.
Yeah.
And so they had one episode where they're there. It's a Star Wars episode, so they're in the Imperial Senate, and Chancellor Valorum is still the Chancellor. And then Superman goes off and attacks him because he's played by Terrence Stamp, who also played General Zod in the original Superman 1 and 2 with Christopher Reeve. So he flies off and attacks him, thinking that it's General Zod. But then Count Dooku shows up with a bunch of Uruk-hai orcs behind him. And they're like, what's going on? He's like, I don't even know what movie I'm in at this point. I've been in front of a blue screen for the last 10 years of my life at this point. This could be anything. And just like storms off. Oh yeah, but that was great. You should if anyone can find those online, they're fantastic. They play up the fact that Iron Man used to be a habitual drunk all the time. He's always flying around in his armor with like a 6-pack, making stupid bets with people. And one is even like Iron Man does whatever an iron can, like the Spider-Man theme song. Yeah, it's pretty good. Although the best one is definitely is the knockoff of 24, where it starts like, "My name is Steve Rogers. This is going to be the longest 8 pages of my life." And he's having to uncover some plot to blow up Megoville, and he warns Bucky, and then tells him to get out of town and don't tell anyone else. Then he immediately gets a phone call from Bucky. The whole town's going to blow up. Get out of here. He's like, Bucky, I told you not to tell anyone. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry, Steve. He leaves, and Nick Fury's like, I do it myself, Steve, but the syphilis, it's getting to me. And then, because in 24, the president was a black guy, so here the president's the Falcon, because, well, Marvel. And so, turns out that Red Wing is the one that planted the bomb, and Steve can't understand what he's saying, and he's trying to warn him that Falcon's been replaced by a Skrull. So, but Cap just takes out Red Wing. But first, he's like, well, I was like, I know. I'll go talk to Craven the Hunter. He's a former commie. He knows what's going on. And so he goes and he puts on like a glasses with a little mustache, and he's like, "Oh, hi, comrade. It's your friend, the chameleon. See my disguise?" And so he goes and like takes out some of Craven's enemies for him, and then finally he's like, "No, I don't know anything about it." Then he has Electro, and he's got him like tied to a chair, and this is from 24. He's got like monitors with Electro's family on him, and he's like, Electro, if you don't tell me what's going on, like I'm going to kill your family. And he's like, I don't care. He's like, the kids hate me. The wife's getting child support. Like, take them out. You'd be doing me a favor. He's like, why do you think I have anything to do with this anyway? He goes, everyone knows you're Falcon's arch enemy. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, you were his enemy in the Falcon comic book. He's like, what the hell are you talking about, Steve? And he pulls out he pulls out the comic, and it's real. And Electro's like, well, holy shit, I guess I am. He's like, well, I don't know anything about it. Sorry. Yeah, great episode, great comic. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be a big issue going forward. Definitely going to need to like. It's one of those things like whenever the people working for Marvel first made all the characters, they could have never envisioned the MCU. So of course they didn't put anything in their contracts. Like, by the way, if you're gonna make $1 billion movie based off my ideas, like I'd like a little bit of that money, you know. But at the same time, like the artist works for hire. They knew Marvel was making like cartoons and everything else, so I don't know. Anyway, I just thought it was odd that some seemingly random guy from England all of a sudden claims that he's got the contract that says he owns Peter Cushing's likeness, and this guy just comes out of the woodwork, and it's kind of relevant because I think they possibly want to use Tarkin in Andor season 2. You know, he's one of the people they could potentially use there because Krennic, yeah, I think Krennic, I think he's back, and Galen Erso's in it, and
I can't wait to see me some more Krennic.
what's his name that played him in the movie is going to play him. So Mags Mikkelsen, that's it. He's going to be back as him. So it makes sense if Tarkin was also there because he's like the other guy that we know for sure is here in this era. You could have Vader there too, because he was overseeing the construction of the Death Star. So yeah, I mean, definitely some options. But anyway, that's about all I've got on that one, Owen. What do you want to go with here?
Let's see. Well, I figure as a segue, you mentioned using the actors' likenesses for their action figures.
I did.
Funny you should mention that. Well, you see, I never really used to be a collector myself, but I've started getting into collecting the 6-inch Star Wars Black Series figures. Not the 3.5 inch
3 3/4.
or 3 3/4. Listen, whenever I'm out of school, measurements don't matter to me.
No, I just I know that one because it's the same scale as the GI Joe figures, and yeah, that's the whole reason I know what it is.
Listen, if the bigger figures, they're more expensive, but they got more detail on them.
Yes, this is very true. I only own a handful myself. We got Revan. I bought Malik. It just hasn't shipped yet, and like some that I found at Ollie's dirt cheap, like Tarkin, for instance, and the Emperor. I still haven't come across that $1 Boba Fett figure yet. Like, if I come across those, I'm buying one for myself. That's for damn sure. Because, like, why not?
Original trilogy Boba Fett?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Not Boba Fett, Boba Fett. Sorry, Tamara Morrison. He was a little chunky in the book of Boba Fett
I mean,
when he wasn't in the back to tank having flashbacks.
at least it's not episode 2 Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's true. Or episode two, or late episode 2 Django Fett with real removable head action.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, I got Revan. I think I was just like, I can't remember where I was. Yeah, I think I was just walking through Walmart one day, and now, like, if you go to any Walmart looking for Black Series figures, chances are it's all the good ones have been picked over, and you're gonna find, basically what nobody else wants.
You mean like Aura Singh?
Listen, I'm not one to bash Aura Singh. She had a couple good moments in of the Clone Wars, and like that one scene in the Phantom Menace.
And that reference in Solo to being killed?
Yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, like I
No,
said,
I just say that because the Washington Walmart still has the one Aura Singh. And like I checked, the date on that, it's a 3-year-old figure. They still haven't put it on clearance. I don't understand it.
okay, so yeah, I think I was just walking through Walmart, and suddenly I just look at the figures, and I'm like, oh, there's Revan from Knights of the Old Republic, surprisingly just sitting there, and so I picked him up.
Yeah, I plan on mainly focusing on the Knights of the Old Republic characters and like a handful of the main characters from the movies. I only bought the ones like Tarkin because he was like $6 at Ollie's, or he was $10 at Ollie's. I got him for $6 at Ross. Um, but yeah, they're gonna re-release Darth Nihilus.
Well, hey, I got an original run.
Yeah, yeah. I like some of the figures. I was looking at them one day, and some of them have like 8 different versions. Like Vader just has some ungodly number, and some of them go for ludicrous amounts of money. And I think it's the same figure as like another one that'll go for like retail. And so I'm looking at him like, why on earth would I pay for this one that's like $100 when I can get one for like $20 at Walmart, like right now, that looks just the same? Like, so I don't get some of it. Then Hasbro has some of them on sale on their website, like at a lower price. There's an upcoming set. Well, I think it's out now that I want, but I'm not going to pay $90 for it.
What is it?
The one for the Last Command.
Oh,
Comes with Luke, Mara Jade, Luke, and Jeru Sabaoth.
no Thrawn.
No, because he wasn't there at the final conflict. Have you read the whole trilogy yet?
No.
Okay, well, the final battle is like a big lightsaber battle. Thrawn's off someplace else when it's happening.
Well, I was just saying that because I'm pretty sure he's pretty important to the trilogy.
Oh yeah, but this is specifically like the final part of the Last Command.
Okay, then disregard everything I just said.
Yeah, because I mean, and Thrawn has a figure already. Two of the figures in this are new figures.
Oh,
The Mara Jade, I think, is a re-release, and I'm pretty sure Luke's a re-release. But Jeru Sabaoth and the clone Luke are both new figures. So yes, the clone made from Luke's hand that got lopped off in The Empire Strikes Back, also wielding his lightsaber from there too.
wait a minute. They're making figures of people who haven't had an actual appearance.
They're in the comic they're from the comic adaptation.
Oh, I
So
and now there was a comic adaptation.
yeah, you should read the books though.
Well, yeah,
But all of them are on the cover to I think the Last Command, maybe.
yeah.
They're all on the cover to one of the books. So they had existing artwork.
Comic books suck. You shouldn't read those.
I'm just saying the book's better. Like I'm sure the comic's fine.
I know. I'm joking.
Like if you want to read good Star Wars comics though, you need to get the older Dark Horse Tales of the Jedi comics. Those are from like before Knights of the Old Republic. Back when the Jedi had to have like power packs on their back to power the lightsabers, and a couple of people stumble across the ancient Sith, and it starts like the I think it's the Stark Hyperspace War and some other things. And you get characters like Marka Ragnos and Nagasato and Ludo Kreesh and all the other ancient Sith lords that could do all kinds of really zany shit. Like Nagasato with his ship could use the Force to cause a star to go nova. Marka Ragnos ruled the Sith for over a century, which is a tremendous achievement because, you know, usually they get all backstabby. And he actually died in his sleep, you know, like just died. Then immediately showed back up as a Force ghost to like to explain who his heir should be. So yeah.
Listen, when a series has gone for long enough, the power scaling just goes off the rails.
Yeah, I mean, in the EU, there were some crazy powers. Uh, Most of them were usually restricted to like a single person, like Mace Windu, the whole Shatterpoint thing. Um, like I said, Nagasato, but he needed the meditation sphere. He couldn't just do it on his own. He had to. There's things in it that amplified his powers. So, you know, Palpatine apparently could like create force storms that would just wipe out whole fleets.
It seems like would have been useful during the original trilogy.
Well, apparently, like he was doing it during the original trilogy. That's one reason why there aren't a whole hell of a lot of rebels.
Oh,
So, yeah, and he probably also had the whole battle meditation thing like Bastila, which is why everything just goes to crap the moment he dies on Endor. Well, the Death Star 2 orbiting Endor, you know what
if only Thrawn had been an indoor. God damn it!
I mean? Yeah, yeah, Thrawn could have turned everything around, probably. Like, Thrawn still almost turned everything around with only 4 Star Destroyers. Like, he had the Republic on the ropes with 4 Star Destroyers. Like, that's all it took, because the man's a tactical genius and strategic genius. Strategic genius. Yeah. Yeah, tactics are on the ground, strategy is the grand scale. But
What?
there's okay. Tactics are like what you do like in a gunfight. Okay,
Yeah.
it's like hey, you go over here, covering fire, all that kind of stuff. Strategy is like okay, move the 182nd Division over this way, and bring the Star Destroyers over here, and have the TIE bombers hit this position over here, and while we're doing all this as a distraction, the Death Commando team is gonna like hit Kashyyyk. Like that's strategy, the grand scale.
Which means that strategy games and tactical games are not at all the same.
No, no, and people confuse the two, uh, because they're not used to the terminology, but they do have definitive meanings. So,
But anywho, back to my collecting. My only other Old Republic figure uh, I have was Nihilus. I just got him online because, well, they weren't making them anymore, and I was scared that his price was just gonna keep going up and up. I had no idea that they were gonna re-release him.
Yeah, that's new news. Like you got that like a year or two ago, right?
It was like last Christmas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was just like in the last month or so. They've said that like, there's some other figures are going to re-release too. But I know I still need to get Bastula.
Me too.
I don't know what other figures there are though. Does Scion have a figure?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think he does. I don't think Kreia does. I don't think HK-47 does. And then the rest are, I don't think any of them do.
No.
So, yeah. So it might just be Nihilus, Revan, and Malik and Bachelor right now.
HK
Easy, easy collection.
HK-47 needs some love.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Yeah, the others, the big problem is going to be they'll have to release multiple figures, especially from Knights of the Republic 2, because you could turn like almost all of your castmates into Jedi, which means that they all had a light and a dark version, plus like their base version before you do that. So, except for Kreia, because she's a Sith Lord. Spoiler alert
Or
uh, for a 20 some odd year old game, I think.
yeah,
Uh,
the woman who always has her face covered is actually a Sith Lord.
yeah, and then what's her name? That's blind. Um, she was the only person that survived whenever Nihilus wiped out her whole planet. He drained them all through the Force, but she survived, and so he brought her with him, and she joins your team. I think she looks the same no matter what. She might have a light side version, but she's already a dark side Force user when you pick her up. So she doesn't have that third like if you don't change them version. But yeah, uh, I was watching something just yesterday. Do you know who Katie Sackhoff is?
No.
She plays Bo Katan.
Okay.
Like did the voice, but also does her in the live action.
Yeah.
So she had. I'd have to look this guy's name up. But he plays Carson Teva, the one rebel X-wing pilot that seems to be everywhere. Older Asian guy with like the gray beard.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he's a big like action figure collector apparently, like the guy. And Carson Teva doesn't have a Black Series figure yet. Or no, he's got one. There was some other kind of figure, and they were talking about that. And she was like, "Well, wait a minute, like they scanned you and everything for the figures." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Where's my figure?" So yeah, but I just thought it was kind of funny. The guy is actually like a big figure collector, and because yeah, because he's got a channel on YouTube. He shows a bunch of stuff that he does like in his spare time. And, it talks about how he's one of the few Asian actors that gets exposure because despite everyone wanting to like go into hey we need to fit everyone in these movies and shows like Asians just keep getting left out. Like if you watch American movies, you would think they don't exist unless and they're all and the ones that do are all martial arts masters. Like it's like wildly pigeonholing like a whole group of people into that one little thing, and like it's not good at all. And it leads people to be like, well, you're Asian, right? Not like you're Chinese or you're Korean or you're Japanese, because they don't distinguish in American movies, or you have people that are like Japanese playing Koreans because, like, oh, Americans don't know the difference. Americans don't know the difference, because they do things like that. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. That's one of the things that kind of irks me.
No. The majority of my figures are a prequel trilogy. I got like what is it? Three. I got like two different clone troopers. I got like a blue clone lieutenant. I picked him up randomly one day.
When you say blue, you mean like the 501st?
No, like this was no, like this was before 501st. This was like a phase one. It was like ranked denotions.
Okay. Okay, I know what you're talking about. I had Lego figures that were the different ranks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sold them too quite a bit, and I wasn't doing anything with them.
Yeah, this was before we got into the 501st, 212, and all that nonsense with the armor markings.
Hey, you call that nonsense? I call that Lego and Hasbro have enough material from now to the end of time to keep making clones.
I mean, you're not wrong. Oh, and then I, I got a boss, the clone commando from Republic Commando. I made a figure of him.
Yeah. You know what Black Series figures I just saw show up about 2 weeks ago at Walmart?
What?
Ones that I'm sure are just flying off the shelves.
Oh boy, here we go. He's gonna start writing about the sequel trilogy.
No, they're from the Acolyte.
Oh, that's even worse.
That's right. OSHA, May, Squid Game, like someone else. I don't remember who the hell the other figure is. Doesn't matter. I think it was Carrie Ann Moss's character.
The green girl.
Well, she might have got a figure. She probably did. I mean, I'm sure Leslie Headland squeezed that one in for her too. That's her significant other, the woman that produced the show.
Yeah,
The
I
woman playing the green skin alien is her. And I'm not trying to be uh, obfuscating anything. I don't remember if they are just in a relationship or if they're married. So that's why I stated it that way. I'm not trying to make fun of their relationship or anything. I am trying to make fun of Leslie Headland and the fact anyone gave her any power to do anything, but not for that reason, but because she was Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant, which means she probably knew everything that was happening.
you're not gonna stop mentioning that.
Never.
Some some things are best left repeatedly dragged through.
Yes. Yes, this horse will be beaten until it is dust. Forget dead. But anyway,
Um, yeah, one of my first two figures were actually K2SO and the Imperial Rocket Trooper from Battlefront.
okay.
I got both those for Christmas. Uh, I uh, I mean they're both good figures, but nothing really remarkable about them.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. I also have a Dark Trooper. Found it on clearance one day. Wasn't going to pay $33 for it. But I found it for like 17 and I was like, yeah, I'll buy a giant robot stormtrooper in black armor for that much.
Yeah, I got a Dark Trooper. I don't remember where it was from. Oh yeah, I think it's from uh Evansville Toys and Games.
Yeah.
Was passing through and like I saw that they had the Dark Trooper and I was like, oh yeah, that was one. Yeah, oh yeah, I like that. That was cool. So I picked up one of those.
So, Owen, very briefly here, I've seen two rumors online, and I think that they are entirely rumors before I repeat them here. I think one is just wishful thinking on the parts of some people, and the other is more like, well, this kind of seems inevitable at some point on the part of other people.
Mm-hmm.
The first being the people are hoping, these are foolish people, is that Hasbro is going to lose the Marvel Legends license. Well, the Marvel license, which will be the Marvel Legends figures. And I don't know what these people's end game is. Like, I don't know what they think is going to happen. I think they're thinking like some other company will buy it and then like produce figures in the same scale with similar articulation, which, for the record, did happen from Toy Biz to Hasbro. You know, the old Marvel Legends figures are still roughly the same scale and similar articulation. It's been improved a lot since then, but whenever they first took it over, it was similar. I don't think that's going to happen in this case, but there is precedent for it happening. The problem I have with it is if a new company gets the license, for the first 2, 3 years, all we're going to see is Iron Man and Wolverine and Spider Man because they're going to, like, need to get their money back. There's not going to be any deep cuts like, oh, here's Build a Figure Blackheart, like there is from One Wave at the moment. There's not going to be Lady Bullseye. Not going to be the Orb. The guy has a giant eyeball for a head. It's a real figure.
The Wall.
The Wall doesn't have a figure yet, but it needs one. Like Cybernetic Silvermane, the Warthog, the guy whose power is to be able to drive any vehicle. Not drive it well, just drive it. Doesn't matter what it is, he can operate it. Put him in the space shuttle, he'll get you to the moon.
Listen, a man who can drive every vehicle averagely is better than a man who can drive one vehicle very well.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, like figures like this, no, it'll be years before they'll ever get down to this level, and that's a problem because, like, at this point, well, I actually do need a regular Spider-Man figure, but beyond that, like, I've got Iron Man, I have Wolverines, I need like the out there characters, I need like Stephen Lang, the guy who built one of the master molds and mentally fused with it at one point, you know. I need people like that. I need like Boulevard Trask, the original builder of the Sentinels. I need Cassandra Nova. You know, like I need the weird out there. I've got the main characters. I need the other stuff. Like, like from I'll get that in a second. You know, like with Spider-Man, I need guys like Cardiac. Like most people don't even know who the hell Cardiac is. But like, I need a figure of him. Damn it. So anyway, that's rumor number one. Rumor number two is that Hasbro is trying to get rid of the Star Wars license because they're losing money on it. Not that they're going to lose it, but they actively want to get rid of it.
Maybe they shouldn't have made figures of the Acolyte.
Yeah, maybe. And yeah, so like I said, I think both these rumors are bogus, but they are out there.
Well, yeah, even with all of the trash from the Last Jedi and likely the Acolyte, I still think that they're making enough money that
Yeah, I mean, like okay. Remember whenever we were watching the Ahsoka episodes? Uh, they didn't make a whole lot of toys that were branded for the Ahsoka series. Now they made Ahsoka figures, but they didn't have like the Ahsoka logo and all kinds of crap like that on it.
yeah.
It's just like, well, this is a Star Wars character. This line has Star Wars figures, so it's going to be in it. Okay. So far, I think most of the stuff for the Acolyte is like that. It's in the Black series because the Black series covers everything, you know. But it's not like the Acolyte is emblazoned all over it. There are no Lego sets for it, so I really don't think they really pushed it. It's just more a matter of, well, I mean, it does exist. I guess we've got to make some figures for it. We'll just slip them out there. Like the display they're in has Darth Maul on it. Like nothing from the Acolyte.
Do they have Darth Smile?
Oh, Smilo Ren, I don't think he has a figure, but I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, all they need to do is just make a figure of him shirtless.
Yeah, yeah, and don't forget uh, Darth Plagueis the Wise, so we can hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise. Apparently, that he was hiding in a cave watching Smilo Ren shirtless. Uh, God, that show was so bad. God, why?
I think we've done like Star Wars deep cuts, but we still have no figure of Plagueis.
Yeah, well, this was his first like real appearance. You know.
Was sitting in a cave watching a mate.
Yep, peeking out from a cave as Smilo Ren and Osha take off to go confront May in Squid Game. Which presumably means he was there the whole time watching him also shirtless.
But why would Plagueis even be in the cave?
I don't know.
Plagueis is he's a well-known banker.
Yeah, like Plagueis, he's a well-known banker. He shouldn't actually be the Sith Lord at this point. It should be Tenebris, if I remember correctly, or possibly even Tenebris's master, because this is 100 years before the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
and Plagueis is alive during the Phantom Menace. Like, he dies right after Palpatine becomes Chancellor. Palpatine gets him all liquored up and then takes him out.
Well, yeah, the Acolyte should be the story of, Tenebrous ditching, Manny Jacinto as his apprentice and, taking Plagueis under his wing.
Yeah, and maybe that was what was going to happen in season 2, for all we know. Problem is, we're never going to know. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a problem, but like for this particular thought exercise, it's a problem. But no, if I can find it, I'm actually going to sign the petition to bring it back for season 2. Hey, why not? I got a lot of views off those videos. If we're monetized by then, it'd be great. It's just free money. We'll make more money off it than Disney will. Like, I'm pretty sure some of these people did. Like the drinker, is it Mahler, and some of these other people. Like, yeah, I've got the feeling they actually did make more money than Disney because Disney lost money. So if they made anything, they made more than Disney did. That show cost $180 million to make. There are 8 episodes, a half hour long each. There is one starship battle that lasts 2 minutes. I have no earthly idea where all that money went. Like, this has to be like a money laundering thing. That's the only thing I can figure, which is probably why season 2 got canceled. Because someone at Disney was like, "Hold up, guys! Like, we're 1,000% behind what you're pushing here. Like, look at the rest of our stuff, but you're screwing us on our money. We can't have that."
They found out that somebody was embezzling money from their money laundering operation.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah.
Well,
Now I just gotta wait for those Marvel Legends figures for Agatha all along, and
well, no, I don't have any like Black Series figures that I hate. I have one sequel trilogy figure, and it's one of the First Order Snowtroopers because I don't actually think that the First Order designs are bad.
I don't like the regular troopers, but the snow troopers are like, to me, this is just personal opinion. If they were just going to stick with essentially making it the Empire and the Rebels, just stick with the Stormtrooper outfits. There was nothing wrong with them. And I've heard speculation that the main reason that they actually like really tried to shuffle everyone out is because part of the contract with Lucas is that they have to pay royalties to use the older stuff. And so they're like really encouraged to not do that. So to me, the only problem is I think if they just would have used the older stuff and paid the fee, they'd make more money. Because like the fee can't be that astronomical. They paid the man $4.5 billion. Like they couldn't have also been like, oh yeah, and we'll also give you $1 billion every time Darth Vader appears. Like they never would have agreed to that. But anyway, that's all I got, Owen.
Yeah.
And we were trying to keep this episode kind of short, so
Any other interesting figures? The largest figure I have is actually I think like the fourth figure I ever got, which was a General Grievous.
that's one I still need to get. Like preferably one that like all 4 of his arms can do their thing.
Yeah. This one can. I think they made a new version which was based off the hit a skin from Battlefront 2, the new one. Although I think he just has 2 arms in that one.
Yeah.
But no, yeah. I'm actually a fan of Grievous, so I was like, shoot, I'll pick up this figure.
Yeah, I mean I like his design and everything, so
Although I think he kind of got, I wouldn't say, well, just like,
the short end of the stick when it came to fighting Obi-Wan.
well, yeah, he got the short end of the stick in Episode 3, which compared to his appearance in the original Clone Wars series by Tartakovsky,
Yeah.
where he was just mowing down Jedi left and right.
Does that include the great Jedi Shaggy?
Oh yeah, where Grievous just like stomps on him.
Yeah, yeah, the guy that's obviously Shaggy from
Scooby Doo.
Scooby Doo. Yeah. Wow, totally spaced that. I even have a Scooby Doo shirt. Uh, it's a cool shirt. It's got the mystery. It's got their van like stuck in a swamp and like no one's in it. Then it's glow in the dark parts. The glow in the dark parts, like you can see the skeletons inside of it, and then like some ghosts swirling around it. I've made the mistake of wearing that into a movie before. and forgot. Like I like go to the bathroom and come back like, oh god damn, I'm wearing a glowing shirt.
No, yeah. And then Grievous in the Clone Wars series runs away from every fight he's ever been in
Yeah.
and fails to beat Ahsoka.
All right. Well, Owen, unfortunately, uh, real life is calling, and we're going to wrap this up. So, any other final thoughts?
Uh, no, I mean, I've had a couple other interesting stories, just like figures that are only found in this super rare 4 pack that I was able to find like on their own for relatively cheap.
Yeah.
Where that's how I got the Senate Guard.
The blue ones?
Yeah, the blue one.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Uh, just like any other collecting, it can get a bit expensive, but I like it. I just make sure to keep my eye out for anything I like. I don't just impulsively buy and collect whatever figures I want.
Yeah, that's the way I am with the G.I. Joe Classified line. Like, for the 3 3/4 inch figures, I had literally hundreds of Cobra figures at one point, and I don't have anywhere near that many of the 6 inch figures. So I've been like, I need like one or two of each of the troop builders, not like 20, 30, 50. So yeah, plus also the whole like they cost $25 a piece, you know. So I've been quite picky on those. And like I'm still stuck in the air of like, do I buy the regular versions of the Joes or just the Tiger Force ones? Because I know that'll limit the number that I buy. And now I'm kind of stuck in the well, I have most of the Tiger Force versions, but I actually have like both versions of some figures. So now what the hell do I do? So yeah, it's definitely a thing. So yeah, I think I got to call it there. So any closing thoughts on anything?
No.
All right. Well, uh, folks, this is going to end up being one of our shorter episodes. We kind of thought it was going to be with a more focused approach, but I'm actually like getting some phone calls over here on my phone, and I have to leave. So, uh, I want to apologize if I cut you off from anything, uh, but if we did, keep it in mind. Talk about it next time.
All right.
But yeah, so we're going to get going here. Let us know what you think of the different format. Obviously, if there had been 3 or 4 of us, it's going to last longer because we're going to have more topics to cover. But otherwise, that's about it. You know, like, share, subscribe. We like all those fun things here on YouTube. Sharing and sharing and commenting are the big things that help us drive growth here on the channel and get the videos out there to more people. You know, feed the algorithm and all that fun stuff. But yeah, that's about it. So thank you folks for watching, and this will conclude this meeting of the Geek Cabal. See you folks later.
See ya.